Welcome to SEC After Dark. This is me and my radio voice coming at you on a Wednesday night. Corey's not here this week, by the way. I'm just goofing, messing around. I do want to let you know that this channel is brought to you by DeadSoxy. You know, if you want to show your allegiance down to your socks, DeadSoxy has got you covered with vibrant socks in your team's colors. Whether it's purple and gold, crimson, or cardinal, DeadSoxy is the place to go. So check them out at DeadSoxy.com right now. Also, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Stewart's Cajun Pickles. You know, they offer a variety of Cajun spice products like pickles, green beans, okra, even carrots and asparagus. It's a family-owned company, homemade on the coast of Mississippi, and they've been pleasing pickle lovers for over 20 years. This being a small business, they strive to keep the produce fresh and local from the start, keeping the final pickle product extra crisp and crunchy. You can find these pickled products online at thepickedstore.com or at your local Rouse's Market or other Gulf Coast Southern stores near you. Be sure to like Stewart's Cajun Dill product on Facebook and Instagram. Try these pickles, okra, and beans today. You will not be disappointed. Stewart's Cajun Dill pickles, the South's favorite pickles. Also, the lines in this show are brought to you by Bet Online. So if you hear us talking about somebody's favored by a certain amount of points, assume it's Bet Online. Go to Bet Online, figure out what's going on, and place your bets there. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Happy to be back. Missed last week. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think it's impressive that I got through that whole first read in 2 minutes exactly.
Yeah, it's exactly 2 minutes. Corey would still been on it.
Yeah. He would have still been on the Bet Online read from the beginning.
Yeah, he just gets sidetracked. Must be a Georgia thing.
Yeah, we got Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV coming in. Yep. I don't know who that is. And this is not going to be his favorite episode.
I was going to say, we're going to be talking about his dad.
Yeah. Because Nick Saban pulled a full Mr. Mackey from South Park in this congressional hearing with NIL is bad MMKAY. You know.
But he's right.
He's right if you don't think that players deserve anything, because the way that it was is not sustainable. You have to realize that college sports, if you want it to be locked down, they need to be employees. They need to sign contracts. They need to be adults. But if you want to play this student athlete thing to where they're not employees, there's not a court in this country that are going to put limits on those athletes, financial or otherwise, any different than any other student in college. Whether they're playing scholastic sports, intramurals, or club sports, they're going to be treated the same way. So you have to decide whether or not you want this to be something that is very well regulated, or if you want this to be a student athlete sports. I don't think you can be you can be both.
And I know they're going to go through a lot of time trying to figure this out. Like, there's nothing going to be decided tomorrow, but that's kind of what I was wondering for a while back too, was where is this going to end up? I mean, are we going to end up with contracts where, I mean, because it's kind of hard to say, oh, let's bring in a kid and knowing it's only for 1 year and you're offering them a bunch of money. I mean, at some point they're going to start pushing back saying, no, we need to be able to guarantee they're going to be here for a little while. Like, I don't want to bring in somebody, especially recruiting out of high school. I don't want to recruit people out of high school if they're just going to turn around and leave as soon as I get them developed, you know? So why don't we say, oh, you have to stay here for 3 years, maybe. Give us time to develop you and put you on the field. Then after 3 years, if we're not doing it and you're not happy, you can go somewhere else or something like that. Like, I don't know where this is going to end up going, but that's what it feels like to me. That at some point, you're just going to have to get over the student-athlete thing and just move to straight contract players.
Yeah.
But then it's not college anymore. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's my issue. You know, I separate NFL from college and college from the NFL because of that reason. You know, college used to be about, you know, the passion of the game. It just seems like if they're going to get paid to play now, there's no passion. They haven't been passionate in the NFL for years, it don't seem like.
Well, let's just be real. They've been getting paid to play for 40 years, or if not more. It's just been under the table and was like, hey, they're doing it for the love of the game, and they love the same stuff that we love. But the reality is the good players were getting money, and the reason that they were rah-rah in it for the passion of the game is because they weren't allowed to leave.
Yeah, that's right.
And now the most important thing potentially is the transfer thing, and the The freedom of movement is not going to change. You're not going to be locked into a university. There's going to have to be some kind of a legal binding contract if you want players to be locked into your university. If you think that roster building is going to be important for you, you need to lock them in with a contract. That means employees, but that also means that if they do that, Title IX is dead. You're going to have 3 sports on your university, because if you want it to be treated like a business, it's going to be treated like a business. If you want these other sports and all of this, you're going to have the 3-ring circus that we're going through right now, because you're not going to be able to tell players that they can't move. They're not going to be locked in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's true. That's the problem. There's just no easy answer to that, because, like I said, as a fan, I don't like knowing that everybody who comes here is basically a 1-year deal. That's just really annoying. I mean, I'm used to how I grew up watching football. I want players that I can root for throughout their college
for 3
career.
years.
Yeah, well, at least 3. But I don't know. But I don't know the answer. I'm not taking the time to try and think out an actual solution to this. And obviously, it's not an easy solution to find, or they'd have already figured it out. So, yeah. And honestly, to me, that's what I thought Nick Saban was basically saying. Was he looked around after the championship game, he saw what was going on, championship game, but his last game, saw what was going on, what everybody was talking about, and just realized, look, this has changed completely. I'm in my 70s. I can stay here and figure it out. I have no doubt that Nick Saban can stay and figure it out. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of all time. But at the same time, I think he thought, why? I'm already the greatest. By the time it gets figured out, he'll probably be in his 80s. He might not even be alive by that point. So why do it? I think he just looked around and decided, you know what, screw it. I'm out. They can figure it out without me. We'll leave it for younger coaches like Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel and some of them to figure out, and I'll just go. And I can't even really blame him for that, honestly.
Yeah, it's a weird situation because nobody wants to tell the kids that they can't earn. And nobody is going to tell the kids that they can't earn, because the stuff that Nick Saban said in his congressional hearing about everything being about the money, and it's not the reason I got into the game and all that. Everybody that's competing with a kid that is considering Alabama is getting that information that Alabama does not want the kid to get paid, whether that's true or not. That's what's happening, and you're not going to change that. It's not going to happen. Now, the war that's about to happen, and it's going to really happen. And man, I love the Grove Collective at Ole Miss. Ole Miss has probably handled the chaos of this NIL space better than just about anybody in the country.
Well, Ole Miss has taken a unique approach to it.
Yeah,
basically just saying we're treating this like NFL free agency. We're going to be the Yankees. Yeah, and I like it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying
I don't think we're trying to be the Yankees. I don't think you can compare it to the Yankees. There's not that amount of money at Ole Miss. I was going to compare
it to the Washington Redskins, but I thought that might be unfair. So
yeah, it's probably like the Texas Rangers, Rangers, or the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
That's what Ole Miss is trying to be, and I think Ole Miss is doing a pretty good job of it. But you need to understand that the NCAA is at war with the collectives. The collectives are partners with the athletic directors. The athletic directors are the NCAA.
Yeah.
Figure that out. Explain that to me.
And that's the weird case that Tennessee and Virginia have gotten into in this lawsuit. Is now basically the NCAA is being told, you can't limit the collectives, man. Let's leave them alone. But you're right. The collectives then work with the ADs who are the NCAA. I don't know.
It's a weird situation.
Yeah. I really don't know what's going on anymore.
But these collectives, they don't have enough money to pay all these sports. And we talked about this last week, I believe, Stephen. Some of these smaller schools, they're going to have to lose a lot of their other, secondary sports. I mean, women's basketball in some of these places are probably going to be no more. Golf, tennis, things like that. They're probably only be able to pay, your top two, and really the top two is probably basketball or football and basketball.
Well, think about this. Like at Ole Miss, everybody says at Ole Miss, baseball makes money. Baseball is a moneymaker, so baseball is not going anywhere. Right. And I was like, well, who is baseball going to play? Is this just going to be a home and home with Mississippi State over the course of the year? Because they're not making money at other schools, which means baseball is at risk. There's literally only one sport, that you can count on that is a moneymaker, and that is football. That is literally the only sport that you can count on an intercollegiate college having. Everything else loses money somewhere. So it'll look a whole bunch different than it does right now, even if you catch it.
Yeah.
Well, if it's the collectives paying students, though, I mean, the school was already making what money they made and distributing among all the athletes. Why would that change a whole lot? And forgive me, I just don't know that much about it. So
the problem is, like, we look down the road that eventually employment and revenue sharing is going to become a major part of it. Revenue sharing, they're going to think about, okay, well, who deserves the money? Well, probably the sports that are making the money.
Right.
Because they're not going to take less with what they're doing to be altruistic to these other people. So just naturally, human nature means that these sports are going to be on the chopping block, which means all sorts of scholarships and opportunities for people is going to go away in the name of all of this.
It probably wouldn't be a problem if everybody agreed, but you're right. Some school will end up saying, no, we'll give you more money and just get rid of, tennis or whatever, or golf.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a problem, because then other schools will have to do it to compete with them.
That's like the secret sauce that Ole Miss and Mississippi State's been using to compete in the SEC for 50 years. They got 15 sports.
Yeah.
That's it. And like Auburn and Alabama, they're probably up closer to 20, which means that is at least a couple $100,000 that you don't have to fund, and you can put that back in the football pile. Because let's be honest about this. Everything's about being as competitive as possible football wise, and everything else is PR.
Yeah, football is dominating, here in the South for sure. I'm not sure about other places, but football is king around here. And Steve, you see it, I'm sure, in some of your videos, and we see it in ours. We talk about basketball or anything else, it don't drive any viewership as much as football does. So football is king.
On my channel, I cover football 90% of the time on the videos. Even when people complain about it, and they do, I had somebody just today tell me that, hey, Ole Miss has many other great sports besides football that are doing quite well. And I was like, I agree with that. The problem is nobody watches those videos. And whenever you make money off videos and the number of people that you're watching, you generally want more people to watch those videos, which means there's going to be less and less coverage for basketball and baseball. I cover those at probably 5% each. It's like 90% football, 5 and 5 basketball and baseball. And I have extra videos that I just do, like these 10-minute things on women's basketball and baseball. That's how I handle that. But the main show, the blue label shows, as I call them, it's going to be 90% football all the time, because that is what drives traffic.
Right.
And Michael makes a good point. I mean, we just look at it. A lot of the sports that will really suffer are the ones that we don't watch, like gymnastics and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, how great is it when there is the Olympics and somebody from your school is there and representing your school? Man, that'd be really sad to see that go away.
I mean, the girl from Auburn a couple years ago, she was at the Olympics and then went to Auburn for gymnastics. I mean, she was really good.
Yeah, and Tennessee's has some great sprinters like Justin Gatlin and some of them. I would hate to lose that, because
now I think it starts this summer, and the Olympics, softball's coming back to the Olympics. So if you lose softball, right. I mean,
and the SEC is really good at softball.
Yeah.
So,
there's a good chance that probably 5 to 10 members of that roster are SEC girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think Monica Abbott
play for Oklahoma.
Monica Abbott still dominating. I remember her back in the day, Jeb. She was fireballer. Good night.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. This is tough to think about, because it's kind of sad, honestly, when you think about it. I mean,
it is. It is.
It's a situation. Like Nick Saban, he said he got out of coaching just basically because why trying to deal with this when you're 70 years old, like you said, Jeb? And
he went to the NFL. He didn't like it. So, I mean, he don't want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, and I understand Nick Saban is a my way or the highway type coach too.
Yeah.
And that is not going to play in this current environment.
No, and that worked so well for him for a long time. But you're right.
And it was going to be different. And, you know, a certain running back that Ole Miss had, rumors are that he basically said, hey, I either want a pay bump or I'm not going on the field.
I think you mean the Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, this NIL situation, there's going to be weird stuff. But here, this is what fans need to realize. The problem that people are going to have is when they want to root for kids the same way they did 15 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's my problem. Being an old person, that's what I remember.
The reality of what's going on in this mercenary era of college sports, it's kind of like whenever that draft got lowered down to 18 and America had to make it to where 18 was the voting age to make it fair.
Yep.
You're going to get these benefits of being able to get money, and you're going to get essentially pay for play, and you are going to get to bend your school over the barrel at times. The problem is that fan base is going to turn on you instantly.
Yep.
There is not going to be any protection of what's going on. And if you act like that, if you take away and you become adversarial to something that they love, and this is what you need to understand if you're a college football player, they do not love you. They love the uniform that you're wearing. And in 3 years, no matter how good you are, somebody else is going to be wearing that uniform, and they are going to love it just as much. They will turn on you in a second. And that is the reality of modern college sports.
And here's the problem. It's the same problem we have with this whole argument of student loans and repayments and stuff. These are 17 and 18-year-old kids we're telling have to understand this. And nobody understood that when we were young. No. So, I feel bad. It's going to be a giant mess. And a lot of kids are going to get caught in the crossfire. That wouldn't, I mean, we'll say a lot about them. Oh, you were taking advantage of the school. You were like taking advantage of fans. We hate you. And it's not their fault.
No,
but it's not.
And I'll say this, you know, we're talking about the smaller sports getting impacted by this. I have watched more women's college basketball this year than I ever have, solely because one, Caitlin Clark is just absolutely amazing. And I watched a lot of Iowa games. And then I watched a good bit of the SEC tournament with the women's as well. So, you know,
God.
You know what?
Did you see Tennessee in the tournament? Oh,
yeah.
That was so upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
My heart broke for my girlfriend.
Yes. That poor woman. Oh,
yes. My heart absolutely broke for my girlfriend.
You could
and
just
so
see that
everybody knows. My high school crush was Kelly Jolly. That was my high school crush. Yes. Wow. And Kelly Harper, you could see her in the game. She thought she was going to win that game. You could see the expression that she thought she was going to win.
Undefeated South Carolina, and we beat them.
Yeah.
And then no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's a tangent, but I'm still upset about that. So
then fast forward 20 hours. And there's a freaking brawl that half the teams get ejected, and a dude jumped over the scorer's table to go confront a woman.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God. It was just a wild weekend.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But that's the kind of thing you don't want to go away if there's issues with money, because I mean, some of the smaller sports, it's fun. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of the school, but unfortunately, more people watch. You know, lots of people watch football that don't care about anything else.
Oh yeah.
Some people watch basketball that don't care about other stuff. But I mean, once you get down to
we call them fogs. Football only gumps around here.
Yeah, there you go.
When you have a situation to where if they do this and players become employees and they start doing away with Olympic style systems, that you're not going to have a women's basketball program. You're not going to have Caitlin Clark. Next Caitlin Clark doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If all of that goes away.
which is very sad. But I mean, you can kind of understand, like, from the collective's perspective too. When people donate to the collective, they're not donating so that you get in great, golfers or gymnasts. They're donating so that you bring those big football players to your school.
Exactly.
And that's what their money's for. So
Walter Nolan signed with the Grove Collective today. They advertised the heck out of that because Walter Nolan signed with the Grove Collective.
Oh yeah, and that's what you give them money for.
Right.
The other day, or like yesterday, they signed the whole Ole Miss softball team.
Oh wow!
I will be willing to bet that the whole Ole Miss softball team makes 5% or less than what Walter Nolan got.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I like they're trying to spread it around.
Yes. I've got no problem with that.
But you're right. They don't make one player.
Yeah. Like Ole Miss right now.
Probably don't make what Juice makes. I'm just saying.
Right. And we're not talking about Juice Wells there.
Yeah.
The Grove Collective did sign Juice, by the way, I think.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, I believe that for sure.
It was a good pickup. But that's the point, though. That's the stuff that we are tuning in for. So
no, he's a dog. He's a Labrador.
He's good at swimming.
No, he's a mascot or whatever.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what you do about that. And again, that's why I'm saying I don't go as much as I can't stand Alabama. No offense, Jake. I don't get mad at Nick Saban about this because at his age, I wouldn't want to deal with it either.
Yeah. And honestly, let's be real about this. There is no program over the last 15 years that benefited more from the old system than the University of Alabama and Nick Saban.
Amen.
He was good at it.
He was good at it. He knew what was going on.
Right.
He was able to use every lever at his disposal to make his team even better. And they accumulated a team of 70 4-star and 5-star athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever that went away, the parity started going in. And all of a sudden it became much harder. And again, somebody that's 70 years old, he ain't got time to learn something else. I worry about Lane Kiffin getting tired of this.
He left that for all the coaches left behind. Although I love Lane taking just his own approach to it, and just deciding, okay, if we're going to do it, let's do it this way. And they did. They've gone crazy. And it's fun to watch. We'll see how it translates on the field.
You're right.
Lane Kiffin says this system is broken. It's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as the rules are the way they are, we're going to take advantage of them.
Which you can't get mad about. Honestly.
No. And you don't think, coaching college football is hard back then. I mean, it adds an extra layer or two now because, I mean, not only are you, your weekly game planning, you got to go find, recruits. You got to make sure those recruits want to come there. You got to give them the money, make sure the money's there. I mean, it's a whole nother job pretty much that they got to do now as a coach.
And even getting them in, I mean, that's 1 year. Then you got to make sure you keep them next year or they're just going to go somewhere else.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's what I'm saying with, Lane Kiffin has got to worry about that. All these people y'all brought in, will they be there next year?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You got to do a whole nother fight to keep them there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, by the way, everybody, if you think that you can do everything from the running back position and think there was no limit to how high they were willing to go, you have not been paying attention for the last 10 years.
Right.
It's simple. You do not overpay for a running back.
I know that's one position that has been devalued so hard the last few years.
Well, but they only have like a 5-year lifespan in the NFL. Honestly,
yeah.
Baltimore Raven, Derrick Henry.
Well, I think Derrick Henry will have a good year, but that's. But I think he also realizes he's kind of near the end. I mean, and at his age, he shouldn't be near the end, but I think he is.
Yeah, it's like some old Western where they show the wagon wheel and there's like a in between there and they call it a broken spoke or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of Derrick Henry at this point, and you're like 15 or 10 in the NFL.
Yeah, it's just it's definitely a position that has just been shoved down the list. So I don't think I'd play running back if I went to college now. Well, I mean, I wouldn't play anything because I'm not athletic, but you know what I mean? If I had my choice, running back is just it's a dime position, which I don't understand because it's like a very important position. I mean,
if I could pick any skill to play professional sports, I would be a left-hander that threw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, southpaw.
Yeah, in baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what I do. Oh, by the way, did you see that baseball for the first time in like 20 years is the number one sport in the United States?
I did see that.
As far as playing.
I did not. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's
America's
alive.
Yeah.
America's pastime. It's coming back.
So, yeah, me and Jeb will be going to see the Tigers and the Braves on Friday.
Absolutely.
I'm going to see the Tigers and the Yankees tomorrow.
Nice.
I hate it that I missed the Jackson Jobe, who was a former Ole Miss signee, by the way. He pitched his first spring training game. 102 mile an hour fastball, 96 mile an hour cutter, 86 mile an hour changeup, and just mowed down an inning of the Twins.
Wow.
Damn. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. I can't. He's going to be pitching in the major league by the All-Star game or after the All-Star game.
Be like the September call-up, perhaps. Or
No, it'll be a little bit earlier than that.
Okay.
But, I mean, the Tigers have Tarek Skubal, who is unreal to begin with, and you're going to pair him with Jobe. And man, that rotation has a chance to be nasty.
They're still young, a little bit young, though, but they're getting there. They're getting there.
Yeah, they're old enough to win the Central. They're not old enough to win the World Series.
Right.
And I already missed my first pick in the SEC tournament, by the way.
Oh,
Arkansas
really?
beat Vanderbilt. I thought Vanderbilt was going to upset Arkansas. I don't know why. I just had a feeling that was going to happen.
Wasn't Vandy up? Wasn't Vandy up by like 14 or something like that?
Yes, they were doing real well in the first half. Yeah, they just fell apart in the second half. So
I still think Musselman's out of there.
It actually went to overtime. So
I don't know if they even make the NIT tournament.
Yeah, no.
Oh, man, it's already been
think so.
said that Chris Beard, if he got offered the NIT, he'd turn it down, I think.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the NIT, all the NIT means that you have to spend your time not hitting the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where are they at right now on, are they like a last four in or next four out or where?
They're out. They spent the month of February and they won 2 games, and both of them were against Missouri.
Yeah, that's
I was going to say, if you're talking about Vanderbilt, they're
No, I'm talking about
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Oh,
Ole Miss.
Okay,
Ole Miss won 20 games and only beat Missouri in February.
That's rough.
Yeah, they at one point they were 18-3. They finished like 20-11 or something like that.
Yeah, 2011.
They have a chance to make noise, I think, in the tournament. It just depends who they got the first game.
They have Texas A&M, who just beat them by 30 points.
Oh, God, never mind.
Oh.
They are defensively challenged, and I've never seen a team that's been more allergic to loose balls than they are. So it's one of those things like, hey, you won 20 games. Congratulations. This season was so much fun. Let's get ready for next year.
Yeah. This is Tennessee's year. I can feel it. It's happening.
Tennessee's year for what?
Sweet 16. Probably about it.
I think daggone Kentucky's on a roll right now. I think it's going to be a matchup again between Tennessee and Kentucky for the championship.
Although in that last game, I don't think Tennessee was trying that hard. We were pretty much done at that point. We had won the SEC.
Oh, no, Connect had 41 points in that game, though. I mean, he was still trying.
Who?
Didn't Dalton Connect have like 41 points?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Connect is just amazing. So
he's man. That white boy. That white boy is amazing.
Speaking of the transfer portal, that's just an effective use of it right there.
Where'd he come from?
Oh, God. I knew you were going to ask that. I don't remember. Some smaller school, but a basketball school.
Right.
Let's see. I'll tell you.
Stacey thinks UT is going to make the Final Four. They're most of the point team he's ever seen this season.
That would be great. And this is probably the best team they've had in a long, long time. So as far as players, I mean, Dalton Connect is one of the best players I think we've had here a few years now.
Okay, I want to say this. Dalton Connect not having the number 4 on his jersey is one of the biggest air balls in the history of college sports. Connect 4, come on.
Yeah, Connect 4. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's
fantastic.
Can't believe I've never thought about that, but yeah, it's a good point though.
Yeah, it's like, come on, don't whiff. That it was right there.
That's a good point.
Oh
Steve.
God, that's terrible. But yes. Oh no,
Also,
northern. He's from Northern Colorado.
Northern
The
Colorado.
Bears. I don't know.
The Bears.
Mark Sears is good.
Mark Sears is really good.
Yeah, that guy is special good.
Mm-hmm. That's the only one right now that's done much in the last couple of games. But
yeah, y'all decided to get broke after y'all played us.
I know. Yeah.
Isn't that the way?
Yeah. We gave it all against that Tennessee game at home, and it just kind of fell off after that.
Ole Miss has 2 centers. Their combined height is 14 feet 9 inches or something like that, and they can't rebound the basketball.
No. That's tough.
And it's like, what is going on here? Although
that's all they need to do is just learn how to rebound. I mean,
yeah, well, and you learn how to rebound through effort.
Right.
I mean, I have Tim Thomas on my show, and he is a former Ole Miss basketball player who, if he didn't play defense and rebound, he didn't get in the game. He's one of those type guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it's painful to watch Ole Miss basketball.
I mean, didn't Dennis Rodman have like a stat line of like 0 points and like 30 something rebounds in the game or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe that. Dennis Rodman was.
You would
so
see
much
them
fun to
all in a perfect position for a shot. And they'd have a person on the right of the basket, a person in the front of the basket, and a person on the left of the basket. And they're ready to block out everybody. There's no way they're not getting this rebound. And then you would see a player wind in between them, get the rebound, and just lay it up unopposed.
Oh, gosh.
That's what I thought of when you mentioned Dennis Rodman. It'd just be like, you wouldn't see him at all until there was a shot made. And then suddenly when the ball's near the basket, suddenly this wild colored hair would just come flying in and grab the ball. Didn't even know where he came from.
Yeah.
He was fun.
Yeah.
One of the best rebounders I've ever seen.
Not the greatest actor.
And as Stacey Blackwell says, rebounding is 90% effort, and he was all effort. I mean, he was 100% all the time, and he was one of the best rebounders that ever played. In NAIA,
he knew his job.
Was he in NAIA or junior college? He was one of them.
I don't remember that far back. We're not quite as old as you.
Yeah. Normally, Corey has to be here for that joke to get made.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with college football, but we'll be here enjoying it the whole time. We'll figure it out.
And until it ends, we'll be here.
Yeah. Right. I hope we don't ever again.
At the end of the day, the reality of all this is not much of it is going to affect you and I. If you just want to root for Alabama playing for Ole Miss in football, it's going to be on TV. There's going to be players lined up. That's going to happen regardless of what happens in the NCAA space over the next couple of years. So the reality of it is, can you just root for the laundry as opposed to wanting to be invested in these players? That is the
honestly, that might be one of the things that fantasy football kind of helps prepare you for. It's almost like a new team every year. You've got to go and learn who all the people are at each position.
Right.
It could change at any time. And, I played fantasy football for years where it wasn't dynasty. So, we weren't keeping the same people. So it's kind of like that. You have to go learn every year. You have to do your research.
Hey, if we're going
team this year.
Yeah. If we're going down that road, let's just do a fantasy draft like the UFL just did, every year, just do a fantasy draft.
Just shuffling those kids around, which I just don't. It's not good for their education, but I guess at this point we're not caring about education.
So, Jeb, are you a Memphis Showboats fan, or are you Birmingham Stallions?
No. Sorry, I'm not rooting for Alabama team.
Okay.
Memphis it is.
So they're good though.
I'm Team Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah, Birmingham's a good team. Yes.
They picked up Matt Corral.
They did.
Oh, good for them. All right.
Yep, they did. Big pickup for them.
So I'll get to root for Matt a little bit, which is something I'm comfortable with. And hey, maybe there can be some golf balls thrown on the field. You know, maybe some mustard. Yeah.
They come up to Memphis, I might go to a game and do that.
Yeah. Well, being in the Liberty Bowl, it's not too far away from the field. You might be able to make it.
I just want to get caught going into the stadium and them asking, why are you bringing an empty mustard bottle in? So
empty?
You wouldn't understand.
Empty?
You need it to be full so it carries.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Kind of stop at the grocery store on the way to the game.
Yeah.
Just walk in with like a handful of them.
And if it's at the Liberty Bowl, be sure to make sure it's like great value mustard as opposed to like French's.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
That's true. When does their season start? They've got to be
the UFL?
Yeah, they got to be doing that. Same
March the 30th, I think.
It's March 30th, the first game.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. All
the
right.
Stallions and who they play?
The Arlington Renegades.
Yeah.
So it's like the two champions of the XFL and the USFL. They're playing in the first game of the UFL.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Good scheduling right there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And for the USFL teams that are moving over, all three of them, them playing in their own home stadium, which those three teams, by the way, were hubs last year in Birmingham and Memphis and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I just hope they do the championship game in Canton again.
That was fun.
I like that. Yeah.
Me too. Yep.
2026.
It's like Major League Baseball should play their World Series games in like a Field of Dreams game.
That would be cool.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool. I'd like to see a Field of Dreams game every year moving forward. That'd be fun.
They're going to play either this year or next year at the historic stadium in Birmingham. They're going to play a regular season game. I think it's like the Cardinals and the Mets or something like that.
Okay. That'd be fun.
I don't know the name of the stadium, but that's where like the I can't remember the team names. It was one of those leagues back in like the 20s and 30s. So yeah, should be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think you know, MLB probably still has the best all-star format, you know, with what they do, because the Pro Bowl is garbage. You know,
they screwed up the uniforms. They screwed up the uniforms.
They did do that. Yeah.
It used to be amazing when everybody just wore their uniform either home or road, depending on what it was.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And you know the All-Star game, how it started, right?
History lesson.
Yeah. Baseball was struggling through the Depression like everything else was, and a lot of minor league teams and that went under, and like over half of the major league teams were losing a ton of money as well. And they were trying to figure out a way to boost interest and get people that into the stadium, get them to buy tickets with money they didn't honestly have.
Right.
And they decided that, hey, we can just pick the best players from all the teams and put them together to where the National League plays the American League. And I bet people would show up for that. And it used to be a very competitive game. Everybody talks about now how all-star games didn't matter. Ted Williams referred to the home run that he remembers most in his career being an all-star game home run.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
In about 3,000 years, you know, they can unfreeze him and he can tell his story to somebody, you know. So.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
and Walt Disney.
Yeah, and Walt Disney.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like the, you know, baseball, the All-Star game. NBA is just for show. They don't do anything. They played no defense.
No.
Pro Bowl don't play no defense. I don't even think they did the Pro Bowl this year. They just like a skill show.
Yeah.
Well, they do not play the Pro Bowl anymore. It's all a flag football game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flag football. That's what they said it was. Whatever it was, I didn't tune in. It
I didn't
awful.
either.
Yeah. Does people not realize that you can tear an ACL playing flag football as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not in Hawaii anymore. Where is it? It's down here in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in Orlando. It's a Wide World of
Orlando.
Sport. No,
Yeah.
they played that in the stadium in Orlando where you saw
Yeah.
the Citrus Bowl.
Oh yeah. Well, the Citrus Bowl was great, but the Pro Bowl, no.
Yeah,
There's a push by enlightened media folk around Ole Miss that wants the Red Blue game, the Grove Bowl, to look like the Pro Bowl games, and it's like no, you cannot have a situation to where you charge people to get into the game and not play real football.
right.
No, you're going to ask these people for money, play football.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
right now, the fans, going back to what we started on, the fans are basically beaten down more than any other person around college sports right now. They're asked to buy tickets and support the athletic department. They're asked to pay the salaries of these athletes, and the athletic departments don't have to pay them at all. They get to keep all their money, and they get millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But the onus goes on to the regular fan. There's fans out there probably donating to the Grove Collective that makes $10 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
Plus,
it's just not fair at the moment.
it seems to me like you need real-time game situations to really figure out what you have too. Now I understand a lot of teams schedule easier like matchups early on for that, but not everybody does. I mean, Alabama played Texas in their first game last year.
No, it's third game. Second, yeah.
I think spring games
Second.
needs to be the FCS game that they play this year. That should be the spring game to bring an FCS thing in. Pay them $1 million just like you normally would to support their athletic department. Have them come to campus and they can be a willing scrimmage partner. Is what that is. Your season gets a lot more competitive, and you can replace them with a home game that people actually want to see.
I mean, you pay $10 a ticket and have like Alabama play UAB or Troy or South Alabama, something like that.
No, you need to have Alabama play Samford
or Sanford.
Yeah. You need to have Auburn play North Alabama. Ole Miss plays Jackson State.
Yeah, play UT Martin.
Right.
Yeah, and you support the schools in your state that don't have the benefit of having 100,000 seat stadium, and you sell all kinds of tickets. And some of those FCS schools, how many fans of North Alabama would go see them play Alabama?
A
spring game. Every fan they have would be there for that game because in their head they talked about that the whole time they grew up, and it's just a way for them to have morale. They're going to get beat, but they would have gotten beat in the regular season anyway. This way it doesn't count. It doesn't wreck their playoffs by playing Alabama the week before you go into the FCS playoffs. I mean, it just makes a ton of sense for these FCS schools to play like high-level Power 5 teams for their spring game.
I'm all for that. It'd be competitive too.
I was saying the SEC school can substitute kids in, and kind of like give everybody a chance to play, and
they do that anyway.
Figure out where they are with players. It makes sense to me.
And
when I played football, in high school, we had a jamboree game, which is the first game, and like our first string played, or the varsity played the first half, JV played the second half. So do something like that.
Yeah.
Treat it like an NFL preseason game.
Right.
You can have a situation to where Jackson Dart plays the first half. Let's say Ole Miss has a game against Jackson State. Jackson Dart plays the first half. Third quarter is Walker Howard. Fourth quarter is Austin Simmons.
Yeah.
At halftime, the score should be so out of hand that it doesn't matter anyway. And if it's not, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Because it's not a loss on either team.
Yeah.
It's just a fun game.
Yeah, you're not going to have to wear that record.
And it seems like if you're going to make changes, now's the time to do it because there's so much changing anyway.
Right.
Let's just shift everything around at once, It's going to be a lot of us that complain because we remember the old days, but just got to get past that.
Did y'all see the story on, I think it was Outkick, about Bo Wallace? Who says he basically played the whole 2014 season high.
Oh my gosh. Did not see that.
That's not the one that I remember throwing a football into a brick wall, is it?
No. That was Michael Spurlock.
Okay.
Oh wow, I forgot about that.
Felt like he was chipping that brick wall with how hard he threw that ball
My
into it.
goodness.
Yeah.
That was a fun game. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, they basically said that Bo Wallace said in 2014 that he was so banged up that he got injected with like steroids and cortisone. He was high the whole year.
That is wild.
Yeah. I bet there are a lot of stories like that people just don't tell. But
Yeah.
And I was like, that explains the 2014 LSU game.
I mean, as a fan, it's almost kind of nice to have an explanation for some of those games.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here on me and my wife, by the way, that 2014 game. And occasionally, I do some nice things for my wife. I went and saw Jason Isbell in the Ryman Auditorium that night.
Oh, nice.
And so he's playing songs that you all know about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here on my phone trying to watch what's going on. Becky is getting furiously mad the whole time. And I'm like, no, this is Ole Miss and LSU. I'm here. I can hear the music. It's just sitting down on benches anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you sit there and it happened. It got to the very end of the game. And Ole Miss had gotten in position. They were down like 10-7. And they'd gotten in position to kick a field goal. And they had a freshman kicker, and they randomly got like a delay of game penalty. So they had to go for it. So they decided to run an offensive play. And so that situation is you run 5 yards, run 10 yards, and out route real quick, catch the ball, get out of bounds. You're back in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Wallace tried to throw a Hail Mary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and there's plenty of time left, I think,
Again.
to run a play and then get a field goal.
Yeah.
There,
It should have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know why the decision making wasn't all there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now we know.
Yep. And I remember I was going to say, I remember one of my football stories. My buddy was getting married, and Alabama was playing Missouri that day. And it was when Missouri had first come in the league. They were really good when they first got in the league. So, I think they was undefeated, and Alabama was undefeated. And so I was in the back of, and right as soon as they said I do, Alabama scored a touchdown. And I was like, touchdown, Alabama. And I was like, oh. His wife was not happy with me, So,
they're the ones that picked a wedding on a college football Saturday in the South. This is their fault.
An assumption of risk. That's what we call the legal field, So
yeah,
it's like the Allstate commercial. With the mayhem, man. Yeah. If you pick a Saturday on a sports Saturday in the fall, it is your fault.
Mm-hmm.
So John DeLone says, didn't a freshman LSU DB pick off that Wallace pass? I do not know, because I was sitting here mumbling about that shit for about 5 hours.
And I expect to hear a story one day, like the Bo Wallace story, from Joe Milton on why he ran out of bounds. One day I'm going to find out there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
The reason is he's the only person in the stadium that didn't want to throw something that night.
That's right. Yeah.
That's still my favorite joke, and that's one that I made up.
And
there was no time left on the clock. Oh, I guess we're just going to go out of bounds. I'm like, what are you doing?
This tennis fan, you're just sitting there like, what the hell just happened?
Mm-hmm.
And Auburn, the way that Ole Miss defended that situation was how you should have defended Alabama on 4th and 27. It doesn't matter that Jalen Milroe was running the football. Mm-hmm. He was not going to make it to the end zone. Do not put a spy on him.
Right. They put 2 on him that last play, I think.
Yeah, it's like
so silly. Yeah.
You really think he's going to be able to run 30 yards without you getting to him? You really think that's a possibility? No wonder Ron Roberts is in Florida. Good God.
He'll fit well there.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's Oh man, some of the many fun times, watching Alabama Auburn games and any, that Tennessee Alabama game a few years ago when they won the last pass. Joe, that was, a lot of fun. It wasn't for me, but it's fun. It's fun football, regardless of if you're a fan or not.
I was at the Egg Bowl that had the wind blown back field goal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was literally at that game. Not the 200,000 people that claim they were at that game.
Yeah.
I was literally there.
Was you there when the guy lifted his leg up too? The Ole Miss guy, was you at that game, that Egg Bowl?
No, I was not there. Although I'm thankful for it. We got Lane Kiffin because of it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's so hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Eating on the goalpost. That's good times.
And he was copying DK Metcalf, by the way.
Right.
DK did it first because in 2017, now there was a lot of venom between Ole Miss and Mississippi State in 2017. I don't think anybody, that may have been the most toxic game in the history of college football, to the point where Ole Miss was not losing that game because all of the NCAA stuff and the fact that Mississippi State reporters were working with the NCAA to bring Ole Miss down, that environment made it absolutely nuts. And Ole Miss had AJ Brown and DK Metcalf, and just like throw it up and let them go. They'll be all right.
Right. Who was Mississippi State's coach back then? Was it Dan Mullen or was it
That was
Moorhead?
Dan Mullen.
Okay. Moorhead was after him, I think. Wasn't it?
John DeLon says he was at the earthquake game. That's awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
That's another game. It's not even necessarily a rival, but LSU and Auburn, just weird stuff happens in that football game.
Yeah, it does.
That was the Jamie Howard throwing 4 pick sixes or something like that in one game.
Mm-hmm.
I think weird stuff just happens around Auburn a lot.
Yeah, like
LSU.
the gym at Auburn caught on fire, and that was during the LSU game, where it was like a blazing inferno in the background of the stadium. Just weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
And was it LSU and Arkansas the time that Arkansas, like on a 4th down play, they had to get like a first down, and they just kept like throwing it back and forth, and they got a first down and like ended up winning the game. It was like an overtime or something like that. Or was that
maybe?
Or was that Arkansas?
Sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. I do remember something like that though. It was weird.
LSU and Ole Miss was the game where LSU tried to spike the ball with 1 second left on the clock.
Yeah, I remember. That was with the Jeffersons as a quarterback, wasn't it?
Maybe John can answer that question.
Yeah. Jefferson was. Unless Miles is like, what are we doing? Look at the clock, man. I mean,
Les Miles' clock management ability.
I know. He was awful.
It was like the Joe Milton of clock management.
Yeah.
Boom.
I remember a Tennessee LSU game where Tennessee won the game, was excited and started leaving, and then got called back to let us know that no, we're giving LSU another chance.
Yeah, I remember.
And they
that.
won.
Yeah.
And
that was
happened to Tennessee twice that season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was Lane Kiffin as coach, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Derek Dooley. It was like Tyler Bray at quarterback.
It might have been Dooley. That's twice in the same season, because I think they had 12 defenders on the field. I think both times.
Yeah.
Same damn thing.
And
Lane Kiffin could have been that dumb. It had to have been Dooley.
I remember, I think Kentucky and LSU one time, I think, and I think Kentucky just went up, and I think Russell, what was that good, that big old quarterback for LSU at the time?
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, he threw a Hail Mary pass and they won the game. I mean, everybody.
No,
Kentucky.
That was Marcus Randall. That was
Marcus Randall. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because
that was
all
like
Kentucky,
in 2002 or something like that.
Yeah, all them Kentucky fans are getting ready to fresh that field, and they just it was just crazy.
Yeah, that was it Devery Henderson is who caught that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Great play. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can realize how excited I am this year for a Texas-Arkansas game.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Even though Arkansas is probably going to get destroyed, but
Arkansas basically invented horns down.
What was that conference they were in? It's like Big South or something?
Southwest Conference.
Southwest. Okay.
It was 8 Texas teams in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It should have been the Texas League.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Conference,
what it was 8
Yeah.
Texas teams because it was SMU, TCU, Houston, Rice, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Baylor. That may have been it.
And then Arkansas.
Mhm.
Golly.
How do you remember that?
Because
Steve
I'm
knows
that old.
everything. Yeah,
The
Steve remembers everything.
The Southwest Conference was my jam. It was.
Oh,
And I recommend everybody watch the Pony Excess, the 30 for 30 on Southern Methodist.
Okay.
Yeah, SMU. Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Didn't they get the death penalty at one point?
Yes. And
That's
this is
what I
how they got that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch
Yeah,
that.
the thing that everybody's been afraid of since. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only team that comes close to it is Ole Miss, and it's happened twice. So, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. You know, that whole joke is like the NCAA is so mad at Kentucky that Cleveland State got put on 3 years more probation. That has been happening to Ole Miss over the last 40 years.
Right.
Ole Miss is just big enough to where the scalp counts if you get them, but not important enough to take money out of their pocket.
Right.
Now, before we go, just out of curiosity's sake, because I don't know what these were made for. The headline: Spring break is here again. What's that for?
It just is. I need to take up room on the thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we were going to be talking about spring break and what we were doing.
We can. Like I said, I'm going to the Tigers Yankees tomorrow, and I'm going to the Tigers Braves on Friday.
Yeah.
That should be a lot. That is my spring break plans. My wife's birthday was Tuesday.
Yep.
So this week has been very much a spring break for me.
Happy birthday, Becky.
Mm-hmm.
Late birthday.
I know we got to stay away from Disney because it sounds like they're just going insane right now with spring break. So.
Oh yeah, we're blocked out. Thank goodness.
Oh yeah, I've seen some angry posting about people standing in line at Disney right now.
Yeah, somebody put a picture up of Epcot today, and it was on the around the world section, so it wasn't even a ride. It was just people walking around. It looked like Mardi Gras.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. And Epcot's an evil place to begin with. And unless you've been to Epcot, you have no idea how evil of a place that can be.
I remember Epcot just being able to see waves of heat coming off of some of that concrete. Oh, that place can be rough.
Yeah. It's
And John, I feel like this is going to be a lot of players here soon.
Yeah.
Seems to be the way we're going.
Mm-hmm. I agree, John. Yeah.
Eric Dickerson got a Trans Am before signing day from Texas A&M. They called it the Trans A&M, and then he signed with SMU.
Oh.
So is he basically the kid from like Fast Time at Ridgemont High? I remember that kid. God, that was Forrest Whitaker, wasn't it? I think in that movie. And he had that nice Trans Am that I think came from the school, but they didn't say that.
No, that's probably where the legend came from, but they call it the Trans A&M.
Trans A&M. And then with SMU.
And that's good.
See, that's the problem. That's why I think we're eventually going to be headed toward contracts because they're going to want some kind of guarantee for their money if they're giving it to these kids.
Yeah, and they can't give it to kids. They can't give it to kids. They can't take it away from kids, so it puts you in a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why eventually I think they'll get past the whole student athlete thing.
Yeah.
And they'll just be employees of the school, I guess. I don't know.
Listen to this. This is all you need to know. Do you want to be known as the school that took away NIL from student athletes to force them back into a cast? So nobody's going to pass that rule. They're not going to put their name on that. So it's not going anywhere. So everybody needs to quit acting like it is.
Yeah.
It's just got to get regulated a lot better than what it has.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're right. There's no going back at this point.
Right. No, there's not going.
We just got to figure out how to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here tonight. Thanks everybody for watching the show. Tonight was actually a really fun show talking about college football and NIL. Corey will be back, I think, next week. He's in Naples, Florida for spring break. He's visiting the in-laws and that, which means he's about 2 hours away from us.
Yeah, fun.
It should be a lot of fun. Anyway, you can catch him on the Bleav In Georgia Dawgs podcast. You can catch him on Locked On Vandy. You can catch me on Locked On Ole Miss. Jake's a part of Tide Talk Live. And Jeb, he's just a guy.
Just a dude.
I just keep showing up. I don't know why.
Until he decides to do a podcast, he's just a guy.
One of these days, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, share the show, tell a friend, do all of that stuff. We will catch everybody later. Until then, hotty toddy, everyone.
Go Vols.
Roll Tide.
I guess anchor down and go Dogs.